My name is David Clark Lamoreaux. I'm from a little town in southern Utah called Paragouna. Paragouna, if you have never heard of Paragouna, it's not too far away from Parowan, Panguitch, Pioche, Panaca, Pinto, Pintura. Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny, but it's in a very, very small town, approximately 20 miles north of Cedar City and about 30 miles south of Beaver. So my next door neighbor was William Thomas Davenport, who also happened to be my grandpa. Grandpa Davenport, I was the youngest in my family, and so Grandpa was kind of an older man by the time I was in my youth, but he wasn't too old that he lost his desire or energy to always run a herd of cattle or sheep up the mountain, various pastures. Grandpa loved the livestock business, and he was in it for most of his adult life, and because I was his next door neighbor, by default, that made me one of his cow or sheep hands, which are memories that I treasure to this day. Well, this is a scrapbook that I inherited. It belonged to my grandfather, William Thomas Davenport. My mother asked me several years ago if I would like to have this scrapbook, and I told her yes. And I'm embarrassed to have to say, though, that I actually had possession of this scrapbook for several years before I finally got around to opening it up. But the day that I opened up this scrapbook, I can honestly say I spent several hours inside of it. I had a very hard time closing it. This scrapbook contains many of my grandfather, William Thomas Davenport's poetry. Grandpa was quite a prolific poet. And Grandpa also, in his own way, was a cowboy. In a little bit of a different way. In fact, one of the poems that I'll quote today was written by his daughter, my aunt, Dot Smith. That really captures the kind of a cowboy that he was. But it's because of this scrapbook that my grandfather put together and that I was fortunate enough to inherit that I became very, very interested in cowboy poetry. So I'd like to quote one of Grandpa's poems that he wrote. When I was a little boy, I remembered going over to his house on several occasions, and Grandpa would be sitting at the large table, and I would say, "What you doing, Grandpa?" And he would say, "Oh, I'm just writing a poem." And I'd say, "What you writing about?" And he'd say, "Oh, just about the good old days." So this poem is titled, "The Good Old Days." When I look back on days gone by, I brush a teardrop from my eye. These memories are so dear to me. We're living now in '63. We're living in a different age when big hairdos are all the craze. I see them coming down the aisle. I just duck my head and smile. The horse and buggy days have passed, and many people drive too fast. They're on the road both night and day in a Buick Ford or Chevrolet. The women folk of today, you see, have it easier, it seems to me. This modern help is hard to beat. Put some of them on easy street. The washboard has been done away and many things of yesterday. No dishes need be piled in sinks. They're washed and dried in just a wink. The men folk have it easier too. They don't have much work to do. With heavy equipment of today gives them much more time to play. With picks and shovels we made roads where we have hauled tremendous loads. But heavy equipment of today can in no time move a mountain away. I marvel at the things I see that run on electricity. Thanksgiving turkeys large and small are cooked in ovens in the wall. All you do is press a button and out will come a roast of mutton. My hair is cut each month, you see, clipped off by electricity. I press a button, the juice comes on. I shave myself with a Remington. The television and radio are great inventions too, you know. We sit in our own home today and see and hear our President McKay and Lawrence Welk and Wagon Train, or watch a professional football game. There are many things I do not like. They advertise the lucky strike. When filtered, it's so very mild, not good for man, woman, or child. The airplane flying high and low, here they come, there they go. They speed away as fast as sound, but I feel safer on the ground. When things go haywire in the air, they leave the crippled plane up there and make a jump in a heavy suit and come to earth in a parachute. Predictions made in earlier days, and people laughed and thought it craze that ships would travel in the air and women folk men's clothes would wear. I'm glad I learned to work the farm, to raise the golden grain and corn, to shoe the horse and milk the cow. I'm glad that I lived then and now. Our log house was home sweet home. No one had an urge to roam. The biscuits made of sourdough in our own kitchen of long ago, with fresh churned butter from the cow. How good it was. I can taste it now. With peach preserve made with molasses, enjoyed by grown-ups, lads, and masses. No graceful dancing anymore like we once had on the old dance floor. Not a single gal stayed on her seat. Those good old days are hard to beat. The coal oil lamp and tallow candle we'd carry around by a little handle. The wicks, you see, were made of cotton. Those days are gone, but not forgotten. On bended knee would kneel and pray and thank the Lord each night and day for things we'd eat and things we'd wear, for His loving and protecting care. How times have changed since I was a boy. To think of the past fills me with joy. I give to God my thanks and praise that He let me live in the good old days.